Your recording.
Here it is.
Okay. Okay, first thing, call meeting to order. Comments from citizens present. Anyone wish to address the?
Yes, this is
Thank you.
Kieran Furlong. I'd like to make a public comment if possible.
Okay, hold on a second, Karen. Okay, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead, Karen.
Great, thank you very much. So thank you very much, Alderperson Olson and the rest of the committee for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to refer to an item from last month's License and Ordinance meeting on the October 12th. That was the item, an ordinance to permit the keeping of chickens. So I just wanted to raise a few comments, and I have actually communicated with members of the committee directly via written communication. I wanted to take the opportunity to make a public comment. So in essence, there was much discussion last week. I think it was there was a lot of speculation. And so since then, I've been trying to get to the bottom of some of the data on the issues with backyard chicken keeping. As what I've been able to uncover, and thank you very much, Alderperson Olson, for providing some information as well, was that there's been 3 unique complaints about backyard chicken keepers. I've been able to identify myself 2 of the households involved. And so I just want to make it clear to the public here that, you know, we in Middleton, we have a population of, you know, almost 22,000 people. There's 9,300 dwelling units. And we've got 2 identified complaints, but maybe 3, so 2 to 3 complaints. That's about 0.02% of the houses. Since that discussion last month, I've spoken to many backyard chicken keepers. And with the exception of the 2 who I did identify were subject to those neighbor complaints, none of the other owners I spoke to have had complaints from their neighbors. So I think, you know, it's, I at least am of the opinion, I think I share it with many other Americans, that regulation is a tool to be wielded lightly. And I feel that the proposed ordinance was heavy-handed and a little bit over the top for something where there's, you know, 2 complaints in the whole city. And, you know, I think there's an onus on backyard chicken keepers to make sure that their neighbors are happy with how they are keeping their backyard chickens. As I said, I've spoken to many of them. With other chicken owners, we've also now set up a next door group where we can share best practices, ensure that we're doing everything we need to stay within, you know, kind of the registration, for example, with the State Department of Agriculture and so on. So I just wanted to make those comments available and request that the draft ordinance be withdrawn. I think at this point, it's something that is unnecessary, and that the existing complaints between neighbors are something that potentially could be solved by arbitration. Thank you very much.
Karen, did you give your address for the record, please?
It's 1912 Middleton Street in Middleton, 53562. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the committee? Please raise your hand. Going.
Hi, yes. I'm Todd Schwannis. I would like to make a public comment.
Okay, Todd, please give your name and address.
Todd
And
Schwantis, address is 5319 South Ridge Way. And I too am asking to comment on the proposed ordinance regarding chicken keeping. I'm a chicken keeper, and I'm concerned about several of the things mentioned. Primarily, I agree with Mr. Furlong that regulation should be used delicately. We've had a successful chicken keeping experience with no complaints. And I think it enriches the neighborhood myself. But besides that, there's existing ordinances that handle the various kinds of complaints. And I think the ordinance proposed should be rejected.
But all Todd, thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else would like to address the committee? Oh, Janine, please give your full name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Janine Bindle. My address is 7302 Elmwood Avenue. My lighting is really bad, so I'm just going to turn off my camera. But I just wanted to follow up on an email that I sent to the committee on October 18th. about the meeting on October 12th, the Licensing and Ordinance Committee meeting, and just ask a little bit or for more information about how we arrived at the ordinance that was proposed last month. And like Karen mentioned, it seems that the ordinance was the result of very few complaints when there are many, many chicken owners who are doing a wonderful job, like Jim Scholander mentioned at the last meeting. And I'd like to advocate for the committee to consider that these are subjective nuisances that are being complained about, and they apply to the interpersonal nature of in-town living. And I think that it would be more appropriate and ask the committee to consider using a nuisance ordinance to solve these problems and not the creation of a new chicken-specific ordinance, because the creation of a new ordinance every time the city receives 3 or more similar complaints is unsustainable and unenforceable. And it, I mean, yeah, I guess, period. Yeah, so I would similarly like to ask the Licensing and Ordinance Committee to reject the ordinance being proposed and to pursue a much more light-handed and a different way of approaching these subjective nuisances that have been the source of the complaints. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Anyone else? I see no other hands up going on. We will close the public comment portion of the meeting and move on to the approval of minutes for the October 12th, 2021 meeting.
I move approval.
I will second that. Any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving the October 12th minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Next section, hearing and appeals. Number 1, appeal of a denial of an operator's license for Joshua Taylor, employee of the Middleton Farmers Co-op doing business as Senex, 7515 University Avenue.
And this one, he is present as well. Both of the subjects here that had the denials are present tonight. Just go over my reasoning here. So at the time that this application was made, Mr. Taylor did have a felony warrant through the Department of Corrections for, well, he's on probation or parole for 4th offense OWI, drunk driving, which is a felony. Also 3rd offense, operating while under the influence. So that would be the reasoning there.
Mr. Taylor, would you like to address the committee?
Yeah, yeah, I've made some mistakes in my past, but I have over 2 years of sobriety now. I just moved into Middleton to be closer to my mom, who's gotten very sick these past few months. So I'm trying to find something local, like a local job that I can like work near her and live near her. And this, I don't know, this job is kind of like in walking distance because of my OWIs. I don't drive anymore, so I need something close. But that is all in my past, and I'm just hoping that you guys can grant me this approval so I can keep my job at the gas station.
So this has been less than 2 years since you're, well, since the,
This from the last incident was my last. This was in 2018, I believe.
The last offense was June 11th, 2019, convicted
Yeah,
on December 5th of 2019.
okay,
Yeah,
fine.
that's yeah.
And, oh, excuse me. Are you living with your mother? Are you living in Middleton, or where are you living at?
Yeah, I'm living with my mother right now. I'm currently looking for a place to live in Middleton, but I'm currently with my mother right now.
Katie, do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Okay. Joshua, how long have you been with Senex?
About 2 months now.
2 months. this is,
They need me for like working on the weekends and at nights, and I'm not able to sell alcohol without the license. That's what they need me for.
Joshua, this might not be any of my business, but is it too hard to work around alcohol?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, this isn't like a bar scene or anything like that. It's just, selling beer from a cooler, you know what I mean, at a gas station. It's not like
Yeah.
triggering or anything like that.
Okay.
I know that there are a lot of companies and businesses looking for employees now. And I'm wondering if there wouldn't be one that would be a better fit that you wouldn't need an operator's license for.
I actually work at UPS as well. But this job is just right down the street. It gives me extra hours. I don't know. I like working with the customers.
Sure.
I really don't
yeah.
want to lose. I really don't want to lose this job.
Yeah. Actions have consequences. And I am just not at this point ready to, I mean, this was the police department has made a recommendation that this be denied, and I'm not, based on this, I'm being in favor of overriding what the police department have said at this time. I just know that there are a lot of jobs out there that maybe that would be a better fit at this time. And I'm glad to hear you do have the UPS job, because I'm guessing during the holidays, they'll be looking for all kinds of hours. So that's
Ma'am, I have 2 years of sobriety. Could you please take that into consideration? Like I've done a lot since this incident has happened. Like this is going to very negatively impact my life if I can't keep this job. Please.
Matt, if you're trying to talk, you're muted.
I figured that out. You say he is still on probation?
That is correct.
I'm actually off probation in 3 weeks.
I mean, I do think successful completion of probation is something that the committee is required to take into consideration. If he's that close, might I suggest that we bring this back at next month's meeting? What are you going to be able? Will Senex keep you on for?
No, they kind of need this like right now. They've already waited a month to wait for this approval meeting. I mean, it's just 3 more weeks and then I'm off probation. I haven't screwed anything up while I was on probation. I made no mistakes when I was on probation the entire time.
Josh, can you explain what that warrant was for then through your probation agent?
Yeah, I got a new probation officer, and I missed an appointment when I got a new officer, and then I just called her and I went in, I took care of it right away and everything was okay.
Okay, and I don't know if I was clear at the beginning. The warrant has been taken care of. It is not valid anymore, but it was at the time of the application.
Okay, and when it was active at the time of the application, that weighs heavily into your decision at the police department, correct?
For sure, yes.
But if
I asked the question just because, if you recall, I've given a memo to the committee. I suppose it's almost 2 years ago now, but still relatively recent, about some of the changes in the law. And one of the things that we're required to consider is evidence of rehabilitation, and completion of a sentence is considered one of the things that indicators of rehabilitation of an offense. Now, he hasn't quite completed it, but apparently we're about 3 weeks from him doing so. So it isn't complete today. I don't know if an approval effective upon completion, or we get it. Yeah, I don't know how the committee wants to handle that, but that is a factor that the committee is required to consider, is evidence of rehabilitation.
Like I will definitely lose my job if I don't get this approval. Like I've changed my life in a lot of ways, and the consequences I deal with daily. I mean, I lost my license, like my past, it's really hard. It's really, really hard to find a job. And it's just like really hard to get things going right now. And I just don't want to lose this because this is one of the good things I have in my life right now. And it's going to be hard to find something else to fill this now.
Josh, just one more question too. So one of the revocation listings on your driving record is for non-compliance with your assessment, the alcohol assessment, and driver safety plan.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
After the fourth offense OWI, they told me that I lost my license for life. So there was no point to go through the driver's assessment plan anymore. It's lifetime revocation after fourth OWI, according to a 2018 law that passed.
That's okay. That's news to me. I don't know if you're familiar, Matt, but it currently shows revoked 3 years plus 140 days as of 12/5 of 2019.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any lifetime after 4.
Yeah, if you go on the DMV website, it'll say it right there after fourth offense, lifetime revocation.
Josh, I really want you to keep your job, but I think our hands are tied until the 3 weeks are up. And if the committee is okay with it, I'd like to move to defer this till next month, till completion of the probation period.
Yeah, it does appear that I was in the DMV, but it does appear if the previous offense was within 15 years, driving privileges can be revoked for life.
You might want to look into that a little bit more because your driving record does not show that.
But yeah, it's a question of if that has not occurred, if the license was not actually revoked for life, that's.
Josh, how many hours are you working at Senex now per week, do you think? And are they all nighttime hours or? Is it-
Some of them are daytime hours, but it's about 15 to 25 hours a week.
And UPS?
UPS is it's 5 days a week for 6 hours a night, 30 hours.
Okay, so you're doing that in the night
Yeah.
and then and you've already done the course work for getting an operator's license. Is that correct? Did I see that?
Yes. Yes.
When did you do that?
I did that about a month ago.
Okay, that's very good. I'm glad you did that. Josh, I would agree with that. I'd like to see you complete probation, and we could make this contingent on your successfully completing probation, and then you would be able to have your license at that time without coming back. Would that be right, Matt? Or would he have to come back to the committee?
No, if your motion was approval upon proof to the police department that is successfully completed probation, you could do that.
I'll amend my motion to approval upon successful completion of parole.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I will second that. I think, Josh, you seem like you're good with people already, and I think that there won't be a problem staying on with Senex. I'm hoping not, but they'll.
Thank you so
work
much.
with it. Okay, wait, let's vote on that. Okay, all in favor of granting the operator's license after Josh completes probation in 3 weeks, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Okay, so that will be the motion. So what will he have to do then? Go back to the the police department or to Lori to get this taken care of in 3 weeks then, or how do you?
I think it would be best if he brings that information or emails it, calls me, whatever. Let me know anything you get from your agent that it's completed, and then I can get the application to Lori for approval.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck, Josh.
Yep, thanks a lot.
Number 2, appeal of denial of an operator's license for Wayne McCoy, employee of Middleton Mobile, 8613 University Green.
And Mr. McCoy was here.
I see him.
Oh, there he is. All right. It's hard to see on the display. So this one is denial. If you're looking at the packet, he is marked no for absolutely everything for any violations, which is not at all accurate. Mr. McCoy he's actually on probation or parole as well for armed robbery. Let me just get and for child abuse, recklessly causing great harm. And those are their older convictions from 2012. So obviously that was the application was not filled out accurately. He also has another arrest earlier this year for child abuse, although it does not look like that one was prosecuted or has not been yet. And there's a handful of traffic violations, none of them hugely significant. Finding that now, just some speed and whatnot, but this was obviously none of which was entered on the application.
And currently on parole.
Correct.
Wayne McCoy, would you like to address the committee?
Yeah, I feel like I did fill out that I was a felon on my application. So if whatever got mixed up. I don't know what happened. They did a background test on me and I passed. So this is the only thing that's holding me back from my job, to be honest. So
The job, you're saying the job did a background test on you or check on you and you passed, but the police department did a background check on you.
Yeah.
And you did not. Okay.
And I feel like none of my case got nothing to do with alcohol at all. So I feel like I'm being punished.
I'm just sharing the screen here of Mr. McCoy's application. He's saying that he declared that this is his application. As you can see down here, as I spoke with him on the phone as well, it says, have you ever been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor, including criminal traffic violations? The answer is no. And then there's also information about traffic, and this one's hard to read down at the bottom here. But it says list any and all convictions, citations, tickets, and pending charges not identified above. If none, please initial. That's down in this section here. So.
Okay.
What
And
else
how long
do
you
you
on-
have to fill out?
How long are you on probation yet?
I've been on probation for 3 years. I got 2 left.
2 years left?
Yeah. And that other case that was thrown out because I didn't do anything. So they threw that out. I'm not being
Which one was that, Wayne?
the one of the recent one.
Oh, this year?
Yeah. I'm not even being looked at for that case no more.
Jeremy, is it still on the record? Could it possibly be thrown out?
So it's on his record. It was actually a Middleton arrest, but there's no, let me just try and find the disposition. The criminal history readouts are not super easy. It has an other disposition turned over to probation/parole authorities.
and my probation officer threw it out. You could call her and ask her yourself. Well, I got a new probation officer now, so.
Don't you usually have to go, the probation officers throw things out, or do you have to go to court to have things?
If I'm being charged, yes, the court would throw it out. But if I'm not being charged, my probation officer handles it.
So there was an arrest.
Yeah.
And it was referred. I mean, the district attorney's office clearly had it at some point. I've never seen that disposition personally, where it was returned over to the probation parole authorities.
Jeremy, what are the offenses again?
So one is armed robbery with use of force. The other one is child abuse, recklessly causing great harm. I know that one was one listed on, offenses against children were listed on your memo. And then also the most recent arrest was also a child abuse.
And the most recent one, they basically blamed me and just locked me up and threw me in jail. And that's why I got out, because they didn't have any evidence or anything. So. And I feel like all that was like when I was 17, the robbery when I was like 17, I'm 26 now. And the other child abuse, that's when I was 18. And I got 2 kids now, so. I'm being punished for something that I did when I was younger, almost 8 years ago.
Katie, you're on mute. Are you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to try to talk. Wayne, I'm going to say the same thing that I said to Joshua before you. I really want you to keep your job, but our hands are sort of tied when until probation is all done. I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I feel like it's the same situation. Please tell me if I'm.
For the last person,
Well,
I feel like it's a different situation because I don't have an alcohol case at all.
Well, 2 things. Yeah, I mean, there does have to be a determination that the offense is related to
Okay.
the licensed activity, and sometimes that can be determined just from the offense, but sometimes you have to delve more into the circumstances of the offense in order to fully make that determination, because that's what the statute says. The other, I was going back, while completion of the sentence or completion of probation is, I think, kind of prima facie evidence that of rehabilitation, I'm not sure the same can be said that you must have completed probation in order to find that there has been rehabilitation. So it's, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm just kind of going back to look at.
Officer Geisler, when was the armed robbery offense?
12/22 of 2012.
2012, 9 years. And how old were you at that time, Wayne?
17.
17?
Yep.
The child abuse conviction was 10/5 of 2014.
Okay. Can you kind of give me an idea of the job you're asking about now at Middleton Mobile? Is this the kind of work you've been doing up until now, or what kind of work have you been doing up until now? What types of,
Mostly fast food work.
okay,
And like handling the cash and stuff like that.
uh-huh.
So this is really up my, like, this is what I really does. So
And how long have you been at Middleton Mobile?
like 2 or 3 months now.
2 or 3 months.
Just to review the factors that you consider aside from completion of a sentence. In addition to that, evidence under sub 1, the licensing agency shall consider the following if presented by the individual. 1, evidence of the nature and seriousness of any offense for which he or she was convicted. Evidence of all circumstances relative to the offense, including mitigating circumstances or social conditions surrounding the commission of the offense. The age of the individual at the time the offense was committed. The length of time that has elapsed since the offense was committed. Letters of references by persons who have been in contact with the individual since the applicant's release from any local, state, or federal correctional institution, and all other relevant evidence of rehabilitation and present fitness presented. But of course, as another threshold standard is still the the circumstances and the relation to the licensed activity.
One thing that does bother me is the application that was submitted it had a lot of information missing or misrepresented. That bothers me, that's how it came through.
That would be another reason aside from the convictions. I mean, that would be a different issue that doesn't really fall under the other standards that we're talking about.
And I don't know, you clearly didn't, when I'm thinking about, okay, here's an application and somebody spells out exactly what they've been dealing with, at least we know that they know they have these things in their past. But this is like, well, if I don't check it, no harm, no foul. I don't know. I'm not feeling.
Me and my manager talked about it at the interview because I put it on the app. I think I did put on the application, talk at the interview about it, like something like that. And me and her did talk about my past and my relationship and what happened.
For your job, but this is
yeah.
For your operator's license, and your application came through saying no felonies, no traffic, no. These are important things that what we want to know, and it really, if you're not being honest with that, it bothers me that's the way we have to come about finding out about it. So. I do understand that Officer Geisler, when was the last offense we're talking about? That there was the one that the parole officer.
Yeah, so the most recent arrest that we have record of is on January 27th, 2021. That's the one that he's saying was not prosecuted.
And we have no actual documentation showing that it wasn't prosecuted, correct?
Well,
or that it's been
there, so it's not in the circuit court files, and it was a criminal violation for which he was arrested, and it just has that kind of odd disposition. So I don't doubt that he's being honest about that. It probably was not prosecuted, but there was an arrest there.
Okay. And Matt, is that it? Do you understand that's how records keeping usually works in the system that we're talking about?
Well, I mean, yeah, clearly it has not been prosecuted. I mean, that is clear enough. I mean, it's not in CCAP. If a criminal complaint had been filed on that arrest, we would see it. So there's no question about that. Whether
That it's-
anyone would ever get prosecuted, who knows? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All I know is right now, he has not been prosecuted for it.
But it is an active case right now, according to CCAP, or we don't know.
No, it is-
not- According to
Oh, it is not.
CCAP, it does not exist.
Okay,
So, I mean, it could very well be that he was arrested for it and they looked into it and they figured out, there's no evidence, or it's not him, or, it could be a lot of things, but one thing we know is that whatever happened, there is not sufficient enough evidence yet or other reasons to actually file a criminal complaint. So.
okay, that's what I was.
Yeah.
Thank
But we
you.
don't know. So, the arrest, I think, is something at this point that you can't really put any stock in. It's really, well, I mean, I guess first you have to consider the completion of the application, because that's kind of a different, the statutes that I'm talking about all deal with criminal convictions and what you can consider and can't consider with respect to criminal convictions. It doesn't really apply to whether you feel that there was honesty as to the application. That's a separate ground. Now, it's happened that there's misunderstandings and so forth here, but I guess that so far, maybe Mr. McCoy, I don't know if anyone else has, I didn't quite follow why, in response to the direct question, have you ever been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor? You've checked no.
I probably was rushing that day through the application. Just a rush, to be honest.
It's a pretty important application. I wouldn't have rushed through it.
Are you waiting for a motion from me?
I'm I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. I mean, I understand that you're still on probation from felony charges from when you were younger. But I'm still not really feeling I'm getting the full picture, so. What do you think, Katie?
I guess going on the application form and the nature and seriousness of the offenses that he was denied initially, I'm afraid I'm leaning toward denial of it. And I understand that things that you did when you were younger, you're still paying for, and that's awful and that sucks. Did you go through anything as far as classes or anything to
Yeah, I
help
did.
you with the child abuse stuff?
Yeah,
What kinds of, well, I guess, can you tell me about that?
it was called class called T for C, Thinking for a Change. That's the only class I would recommend. But other than that, no, I haven't taken a class.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm being punished for something that ain't got nothing to do. I understand the application part, but other than that, what's the problem? Because that was 7-8 years ago, and I haven't been in any trouble since then. So, yeah, I really just trying to. I feel like people just going off my past, to be honest.
Yeah.
that's what we have to go off of, and the application, and
I get that, but it was like I said, 8-9 years ago. That if that don't show you that I changed, that I don't know what will. I mean, that was a mistake, to be honest. That was when I was a kid. 17 years old, that's a kid.
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering if you don't reapply and fill out the application, would that make any difference? I mean, to have it, I mean, this is my problem with that application is how do you, when it's so, there's so many omissions on it, how can you, I just don't feel comfortable saying, oh, okay, well, so I would rather be voting on something that was really upfront with me.
Well, I mean, we now have the answers there. It's just a matter of how you feel about what completing the application means. And I don't know if maybe hearing from the employer or other references to kind of get you past what you feel that may mean, and more accepting that was a honest mistake. I don't know. It kind of comes down to whether you feel that's an omission that can be overlooked. Obviously passage of time as to the other offenses weighs pretty heavily, I think, in favor of finding some rehabilitation. True. But when the seriousness, then you have this too. I understand why that kind of still makes it harder just to accept the passage of time. I mean, had it been properly filled out, I think we might be having an entirely different conversation. But
Wayne, do you have any references that could it help, give us a little lift on how I mean, I'm wondering.
Yeah, like Wayne, could your supervisor, your manager, your boss call in to a meeting with us to just kind of give us a little update on how you're doing, and whether or not you really have to have this to be on duty there?
I guess, sure. I could ask.
Yeah. Because that might help things.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, our next meeting is December 14th. Would you be able to come back then? And it would be nice to have some letters of recommendation and kind of how you work, how your work history is going. And I don't know if it's a letter from would a probation officer be appropriate for this, or?
Possibly, yeah.
All right.
They have pretty big caseloads. I don't know, but I mean.
Oh, again, I don't know. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, yeah, I mean, I would say the more people that can either write a letter or show up for you, the better. But you know who might be available, and like you said, you can ask.
Well, it might be nice also for if you did talk to the probation officer to have them write something about the offense that was on January 27th of 2021, just saying that it was cleared up, and maybe somebody from your work also would be helpful for us to. So I would make a motion to defer this to the December 14th meeting,
Second,
we'll revisit it then. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay. It's going to be on the December 14th. Unless, and something changes, Wayne, you can let the police department know that it won't be in there. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Okay, licenses and permits. We've got lots of sets of things here. We're gonna take 1 and 2 together. Application for a special event permit by Glowing Smiles Incorporated, Connie Dewar, contact person for the 2022 Glowing Smiles 5K Run, Walk, and Kids Dash on May 7th, 2022 at Orchid Heights Park. And then also the application for the outdoor amplified sound permit by Connie Dewar for Glowing Smiles Inc. 4927 Capitol View Road, Middleton, Wisconsin for DJs 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. May 7th, 2022 for the 2022 Glowing Smiles 5K Run, Walk, and Kids Dash. So,
Yeah, so this is, can you hear me?
yes.
This is the 9th annual 5K Run Walk. There are no street closures. Mark with Parks and Rec has reviewed their route and approves. And yeah, we have the event organizer on the line if there's any questions.
Mhm. Well, I know Dan isn't here tonight, but I know anytime there's something in Orchid Heights Park, he'll say something. Can we direct the sound away from the neighbors or the residents? And we could, you know, do something like that. And you've been doing this for a number of years, always at Orchid Heights. So you're kind of used to what's ever going on. So I just wanted to put the plug in for Dan.
So we're very mindful of the neighbors and we'll make sure we're very conscious of that.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Just the one thing I would say too is that your amp sound permit is starting for 8:30 a.m. That will require council approval because it's before 9 a.m. So that would just take the extra step of it going to the council. I don't anticipate that there would be any significant issues. I'm not a voting member. I always throw that disclaimer out there, but just so you're aware of that.
Has it always been at 8 o'clock, Connie? Or you said 8, it says 8 on the agenda and you just said 8:30.
I'm sorry. Well, I think it looked like it had been changed at some point. I'm not sure. I'm assuming Laura has the correct time on there, so.
I think we went with 8 a.m. Is that?
I'm just looking at the actual application. It just, it looks like it had perhaps been changed at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Is that
I
what
mean,
time?
we can, because we're usually waiting for people to get there, but we never turn it up earlier than 9 a.m. I mean, we have some music, but not where the full event is going. So we can always change it to 9 a.m. if that's the case.
Is the gun going off? Is it starting right at 9?
Oh, sorry, I don't have the time in front of me. It's 9 or 9:30, but it's not even a gun. It's like a little like buzzer thing.
Sure, but I want you to have time to like be able to announce where people should line up or something like that. I want you to be able to have the amp permit for that amount of time. As long as do you have any other questions, Kathy?
No, I don't. I just want to make sure that, have we gone to the council with this before? So it started earlier than 9, right? The amplified sound? Okay, so you're aware we'll take this to council then. Okay, very good. No other questions?
Okay, I'll move approval for both for special event permit and outdoor amp sound permit.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Motions carry. So we're good, and then it'll go to council. And now we're on to from the items. Did I miss one here?
Thank you.
No.
I did. 3 and
Thanks,
4.
Connie.
Thank you.
Laura.
3 and 4, and Rebecca's here. Application for a special event permit by the City of Middleton Parks and Rec Department. Rebecca Price, contact person for the 2021 Candy Cane Hunt on December 10th, 2021 at Lakeview Park. And the application for an outdoor amplified sound permit by Rebecca Price for the City of Middleton Parks and Rec Department, 7426 Hubbard Avenue, Middleton, Wisconsin, for speeches and announcements from 5:45 to 7 p.m. December 10th, 2021 for the 2021 Candy Cane Hunt. And just full disclosure, Rebecca knows this too, and she should try to explain that the city events do not require special event permit, but as just full disclosure, she's having them put on here so everybody's on the same page with it. So thank you. And has this been at Lakeview before?
No, this is the first year at Lakeview. We've been at the golf course, but that was not available to us this year. But we feel that going to Lakeview might also bring in a population that can walk or use public transportation to get there.
Nice.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and it'll be the same format it's always been, so that shouldn't be any issue, so.
Yeah, I think you've been out there before, right? A couple times up at the golf course, but yeah, it's the same format and we're just using I know we have to come before you for the announcements and our amplified sound permit.
Yeah.
So we basically just say, you people line up over here. You people line up over here. Go. So
Big kids in back.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I'll move approval.
And I will second that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motions carry. Then we're on to items 5 and 6. Application for special event permit by City of Middleton Parks and Rec Department. Rebecca Price, contact person for the 2021 downtown tree lighting on November 20th, 2021 at City Hall. Application for the outdoor amplified sound permit by Rebecca Price for the City of Middleton Parks and Rec Department, 7426 Hubbard Avenue, Middleton, Wisconsin, for speeches and announcements, 4 p.m. to 5:30, November 20th, 2021, for the 2021 downtown tree lighting. I can't believe how fast that's coming up.
I know, I was just looking at my watch.
Could you try again?
Oh my gosh.
So, okay. And this has been going on for a number of years and never any issues.
Nope.
So,
Great. I'll move approval.
second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, let's see. Now, items 7 and 8 and 9 are all related. Okay. Application for a special event permit by Middleton Chamber of Commerce, Kristen Parent, contact person for the 2022 Sip Sample and Socialize on May 25th, 2022 at Lakeview Park. And an application for an outdoor amplified sound permit by Kate Miller for Middleton Chamber of Commerce, 7427 Elmwood, Middleton, Wisconsin, for sound system announcements, band and DJ, 3:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. May 25th, 2022 for the annual celebration of SIP, Sip Sample and Socialize. And then they're looking for an application for a temporary Class B retailer's license to sell beer and wine for the Middleton Chamber of Commerce, 7427 Elmwood Avenue. Kate Wicker, president, for May 25th, 2022 for the annual celebration using approved plan, Middleton Chamber of Commerce.
Real quick, I must have forgotten my last name on number 9. I had it as my married name Wicker. It's actually Miller now, like it was.
Sorry, I didn't even catch that, Kate.
Sorry, it must have just, the fingers just typed away.
Well, I mean, I knew that was your last name, so I think, yeah, it just didn't even red flag, but yes, we can fix that.
Okay.
In my head, I was like, there are a lot of Kates on that little committee.
Yeah, so this is not a new event, but it is a first time needing a special event permit. Is an event that has been typically held at the Madison Marriott West. So this is the first attempt to move outside. It is a ticketed event that will include food samples with drink tickets. But after the tickets, they are hoping to have drinks sold for purchase, which is why there is a Temp B application along with a security plan. They have already been in discussions with the Rebecca and the team with Parks and Recs on just regarding logistics and recommendations. And obviously both Kate and Kristen are on the call if there's any specific questions.
And I'll just bring up one of the issues I talked to Laura about is in your safety plan, which I appreciate you guys being very proactive with this and working with us, and this is up to the Licensed Owners Committee, but it talks about the event being quote unquote roped off. In the past, it's generally been a fenced off area. So ultimately, I just wanted to bring that up to the alders so that they're aware and they can make a decision on whether or not they see that as an important factor there.
Will this be inside of Lakeview? Well, this is May. Yeah, I'm in winter mode.
Yeah, so just a little background. So this is our the Middleton Chamber's 70th anniversary in 2022, and so we kind of wanted to change things up a little bit for our 70th annual celebration. We plan on using both the beautifully renovated shelter, and then we'll also have a tent as part of the space as well.
So instead of being roped off, you'll be in a tent. Is that correct? Is that?
So we're going to have a tent. Part of this is pandemic driven as well.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what tomorrow will bring, let alone what May will bring. Part of the reason we typically did this in January, we're moving it to May so that it can be outdoors. So if there's happens to be a mask mandate, we can have the tent sides open to allow people to sip, sample, and socialize without a mask on. So we do realize, you know, if there isn't a mask mandate, we could put the sides down. If, you know, or if we want the sides up, we would have some sort of rope, volunteers at those openings. And then this is for business people. It's a private ticketed event. There will be a registration area where people have to come through in order to get in.
So Jeremy, can you say again what you were concerned
So
with?
generally speaking, for the Temp B premises, we've required a fenced in area. Their safety plan refers to a roped off area, number 13 there. I just wanted you guys to be aware of that. And there's no ordinance requirement that says a fence is required. I'm not familiar with any state law that says that. It appears based on our application that it was something that the Illinois committee back in whenever it was years ago decided was required.
Kate, how many people are you anticipating, or Kristen, how many are you anticipating being there?
Historically, this event has drawn 500 people. So we're unsure moving the timeline, but hoping for at least 400 at this point.
Yeah. Well, we know that people are deciding they like being outside for these kinds of things. So.
And again, this isn't a situation where it's open to the public or even open to families. It's 21 and older professional business people from Middleton and around Dane County.
Okay. All right. Well, I would make a motion to approve the special event permit, outdoor amplified sound, and the temporary Class B temporary. And Kate, you'll keep work, and Kristen, you'll work with the police for anything that comes up, and Laura. So, and I'll move for those approvals.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carry. Then we're on to
All right, we expect to see every single one of you at this event. It's going to be so fun. 70
I'm
years.
not 21.
Then you have to stand outside the rope area and just look at us.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Ordinance. An ordinance to prohibit parking in the Park Street cul-de-sac.
Yeah, so I guess this one's pretty self-explanatory, but it was referred by Public Works Committee. So Matt just wrote up an ordinance for it.
Okay, which side of the park entrance are we talking about?
You know,
Because there is that little dead end there at let's see, at the south side of the park entrance.
when you're heading south on Park and you come to the cul-de-sac area, the little bulb area before you go to Fruitsy Park or before you turn to go towards the swimming pool, they want to eliminate parking in that area. I emailed
All year?
All year. I emailed Sean on this. And the second part of this is that right now there's not a lot of parking at the school, and the school knows there's not enough parking. Parks have also made a recommendation that they want to change parking in parks so that it's only for park users because they feel like the kids are using this too. And I asked Sean about, well, you know, because they talked about leaf pickup and snow removal. And I'm saying, well, that's like a dozen days a year, maybe. And maybe not when school's even in session. I think and I was wondering about if they could do more yellow marking around the fire hydrant area, by the driveway area. And once somebody parking there, if they're a student, they get a warning or a citation for parking in the wrong spot. I'm sure the word would go very quickly through the population not to abuse the parking in there.
How are we gonna know that?
So I did I'll interject real quickly. I did talk to Matt Amundsen, who called me today. Specifically, he was addressing more of the parking in the park. So that would be slightly
Right,
different
but it's another, it's kind of a snowball effect when they take the
For sure.
parking out of the cul-de-sac, they're parking in Parisi Park. And I was like, I know they want that to come to LNO also.
Yep.
And when I was at Parks, I said, well, what about how many, you know, well, that's not on the agenda, so we probably really shouldn't be talking about it. But anyway, it's kind of a snowball effect. So
I just wanted to let you know that
Yeah.
just as far as the enforcement ends of those things, that parking in a park is a separate ordinance. It's not a parking citation per se. It's an actual municipal ordinance we would have to issue for that.
but this is street parking, correct?
This is correct. Yes.
And that would be,
Yep. Correct. And he did talk about trying to do some education, and I suggested that he contact our SRO as well. And he was going to work. He talked about working with the school to try and perhaps proactively address this in lieu of enforcement, just and see if the high schoolers are willing to comply voluntarily.
well, with a, you know, warning or citation, I'm sure they can't, you know, they wouldn't want to get
Hopefully not.
tickets. Right. I just, it's so, I feel for the students because they have certain ones get parking passes for a semester. But there's other kids that have to drive, you know, if they have an appointment or they have something going, you know, they have to drive sometimes and there's no parking for
Right.
them.
Yep.
And they are across University Avenue. The others are the parking permits close in the blocks around the high school.
Could St. Bernard's sell some student parking passes?
I think they do for families of the parish. They do some parking.
And we're going years back now from when I was the high school SRO, but they used to allow, I think, some staff parking in St. Bernard's lot.
That's, you know, such a giant parking area. I really hate to see that whole cul-de-sac go away for parking because I know a lot of walkers and runners park there and bird watchers.
Yeah, and when it's not during school times, you know. Well, I wonder if they could even do
certain hours
or permit parking, just like, I don't know how far out the permit parking goes around the high school, if they would include, well, that wouldn't work either because then the birders, if they wanted to go during school hours, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is this in the section that's?
So it's trying to find too many windows open, but I'm trying to read.
But I did ask how many spots we're talking and I didn't get that answer, so I don't know.
I would think it's at least 12.
Or they could even do 2-hour or 4-hour parking, you know. But that, you know, that really doesn't work that well either, because then you have to have somebody come.
That
somebody
just
come and check
adds
it.
staff time.
Yeah.
You guys have obviously heard of the issues downtown with the 2-hour parking, so
Yeah,
Don't know
that wouldn't add to it, yeah. And this is only on school days too, so.
Oh, that's what I was.
Because you don't, like on the weekends and stuff, to not have, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I
some
wonder
of-
what people do who want to go and walk there during a school day. Where does somebody park to go walking? Do they just park on the street there?
There's parking on Park Street, isn't there?
Well,
Uh,
on one side, maybe.
Further,
On the-
further north of there, not
Yeah.
south. Well, and further south, but not in that, the hill and the curves there. Over by like the high school, the tennis courts.
Right, not there, but like back
That, I
toward
mean, that's parking lot.
Cromery, maybe.
Yes. Yep, on the west side of the road, there's parking there.
Mhm.
I think, you know, even just painting the yellow, if the concern is the fire hydrant, the driveway access, and snow and leaf removals, I think if you just paint yellow where you're not supposed to be parking. You know?
Yeah,
So we can't enforce just a yellow curb. We need an ordinance to back that. So it might be,
Isn't there one for no parking by fire hydrants?
there's a fire hydrant specific one, yes. But I
And
just
by
say,
driveways? And by
yep,
driveways?
driveways, there's a handful of crosswalks. There's a number of them. I guess my point being is if you painted this curb yellow or this whole period, which they're trying.
No, not the whole period.
You're
I'm
saying
only
just
talking
in
about
those
by,
areas. I got you.
so if the kids are encroaching on the fire hydrant or on the driveways. I really don't. I don't know how, I don't like the idea of taking the parking away just because it's being used more now.
yeah, agreed. It's a nice, safe place to park.
Mhm. And, you know, some kids, they don't have the semester parking pass and they do need to have places to park. I mean, we can't just keep pushing it further and further.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not like we have easy city bus schedules for
Right, that's true.
that.
What
too.
What if? I'm wondering if we defer this until we can talk to have Sean come and give us a little more explanation of why how this would benefit. I know that if it's empty, you know, and then no one can
Yeah.
park there, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because people are using it that we want to get rid of the parking either.
All right, agreed. Okay, is that your motion?
I'll make a motion that we defer this until we can talk with Public Works a little further about it.
Agreed. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I want to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.